Okay, time for a video. Got a rock here from my friend Roger Huizar, and I've already started removing some pieces from this. I think this might be from this nodule, maybe. Yeah, I already started to reduce this down, but I said to myself, I need to do this on video. Yeah, with a bopper. There's two reasons for doing this. One, I want to see if I can make a blade out of this for another friend of mine. And I want to show Roger that I am working on his stone that he gave to me so generously. Okay. I've been trying to do some stuff on the side, and because it's getting to be the holidays and the Christmas time, and gifts are in the works. One thing I tend to spend a lot of my time on is finding the notes that I take down from the emails I get. And one of the notes that I cannot find is from someone that wanted me to make a little almond-shaped point. I asked him for dimensions of to get an idea of the exact size he's working with, because I guess he just wants to be able to haft the points that he's making, and I cannot find my notes on that. So I just spent a bunch of time looking for those notes. Can't find them. I'll find them eventually, I suppose. But yeah, on the side, if I start to do work on the side, another thing to contend with is not being able to find my notes. Yeah, one more thing. It's just one thing after another. Sometimes I leave my notes out. Like I make little notes like this. I leave them out on my work area, exposed every day, so I'm seeing them every day, and then I finally get around to it, and then I look, and the notes, either I cleaned it up and I don't see the note anymore, or the wind blew it, because I got wind blowing through my shop. For those of you who are concerned about ventilation, I got wind blowing through my shop. Sometimes I see my packing material on the floor and stuff. That's how much wind passes through here. And sometimes my notes are subject to being blown around by the wind, or I clean them up. Whatever the reason, I can't find my notes. Then I start looking. Anyways, I'm getting a lot of feedback on the boppers. Yep. They're interesting things. Interesting things. It's interesting that you can use copper from everything from extremely hard stone to obsidian. But I start pulling out the steel tools, and somehow the steel is not accepted as something that can be used for everything. I use mild steel. It's not hard steel, it's mild steel, so it's soft. If you can use copper for everything, you know, what's wrong with using steel for everything? As an example. Yeah, copper is best. I have to admit. It has good properties all around. Same goes for aluminum, right? You can use aluminum for everything from hard stone to obsidian. I've done a bunch of videos with aluminum. I don't know. I think some people just don't like steel. Anyways. What is this? This is kind of like an amoeba chert, but it's not high grade. This is the kind of amoeba chert that you usually heat treat. But you have to spall it down thin. Or, you know, spalls or flakes that are thinner than 1 inch thick. Which reminds me, yeah, I was going to ask this question generally. Is there anybody else out there that you guys have noticed that keeps track of their width to thickness ratios on video? Like during the video. I haven't seen anyone else do it, so I'm asking, since I have not been watching very many other Flintknapping videos, is there anyone else that takes out the ruler and measures their starting points and their finish points of width to thickness ratios, or the weight of the original nodule compared to the finished point? Is there anyone else out there that actually does that? I haven't seen anyone do it. If there is, I want to watch those videos. I will watch those videos. I want to see someone take the ruler to their point and give me the width to thickness ratio. Or the tape measure, or whatever you're using. Okay. So these are good for heat treating. It's a bit curved, but you can get small points out of those. Not a problem. I got my space heater blowing into my face, which also interferes with the sound quality. But I'm finding that the space heater blowing into my face is the best option. For some reason, I don't get cold. I get cold if the space heater is facing any other way other than in my face. Weird, huh? I need to do that open air heat treat soon. Soon. Then I'm going on another hunting trip in a couple weeks. Well, let's see how many days. Maybe 10 days. Yeah. I gotta try to sneak in some heat treat, open air heat treat before that time. Oh yeah, and shout out to Freeze Cracked. I just was looking for Flintknapping videos by him last night, and I saw one that he made 6 months ago. I thought he had retired. I hadn't seen a Flintknapping video from him in over a year. So yeah, he's still going at it. He does a lot of freehand bopping like I do. Yep. And I don't know, I didn't read the comments. I don't think anyone else is mentioning or making comments if that's right or wrong. Good or bad, or whatever. To do freehand bopping instead of leg with pad bopping. But I don't watch enough of his videos to know, or to look at enough of the comments to know. So if you know, let me know. I want to see the conversation. There's a trouble spot here, but I'm not too worried about it yet because I've got some width to work with. The only thing I'm worried about is this area right there. I don't need it. I don't need the blade to be very wide for this project that I'm working on. So this project on the side that I'm working on is either going to use this material or something similar. Doesn't have to be this one. I might break this one on video. We shall see. I might not be able to maximize it, but I'm going to try. And try to get good flakes at the same time. I got my phone plugged in this time, so there shouldn't be no blackouts. That was funny. What blackout they're asking? What blackout? At the end of one of my previous videos, everything blacked out because I was trying to plug in my phone. It was at 2%, and I hit the off button on my surge protector. Everything blacked out. Camera's still rolling. It was funny. All right. Luckily, it was at the 30-minute mark, so that the people who want to watch 30-minute videos are going to like it. But otherwise, I felt like I cut it too short. But it was okay. It worked out. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see. Is it good underneath? I think it might be. I was worried that was going to go very deep. It looks like it goes in sort of deep. But I think it'll be alright. I might even be able to get a point out of this. One of my side projects is to make a bunch of small points. I need to have something to sell during the nap-ins. But it seems like if I want to get all my projects done, I've got to start napping when I wake up and stop just before I go to sleep. That means I'll be napping all day, every day. And that's what I don't want to do. I'm going to have to figure something out. Make it easy on myself somehow. If I can make it easier to nap the stuff I need to nap, that would be ideal. The poppers may give me a shortcut. Maybe. Now you might be asking, why don't I hit with more inward force? It's because it'll step fracture on me. That's the main reason. I have to make sure I don't bite off more than I can chew, just like I've been telling people. Too much inward force with me, and I'll create step fractures and stupid stuff. So I prefer to whittle it down. And since the bopper is kind of new to me, as far as using it, it's not new to me as far as the idea. And I watch bopper videos from time to time. What's new is just using the technique. Yeah, I've used antler billets in the same way. I get pretty much the same result, which is to say it doesn't really start thinning down until I switch over to indirect percussion. Let's see if I can change that. If it'll help me make stuff quicker. If it'll help me make stuff quicker, that will be a good advantage. But yeah, if I don't want to scoop out the edge a lot, the flakes I'm taking off have to be rather shallow. And rather shallow flakes don't thin it down very fast. And I'm losing a lot of width. See, that's kind of a lot of width there for not much thinning. It's going more than halfway, but the thinning isn't really there as far as the amount of thinning that I need compared to the edge loss. Now that edge loss wasn't much. We'll see as time goes on. If I don't make a mistake, I should be able to preserve the width long enough to create a scenario where I can thin it down with thin flakes. Why do I tap it? Just to make sure, just to get a feel for it, just to make sure it's not going to be crumbly. I don't put pressure on these flakes. I don't pull in certain directions or anything. I just let the flakes go. And most of the time, the back of the workpiece is right here. This is not applying pressure or my fingers. The only strategic position for my fingers is to move them out of the way if there's going to be a chance for me hitting my finger. Otherwise, it's backed up against my hand in most cases. Sometimes I'm out like this, but that's usually when I'm doing the indirect percussion. When I'm doing the direct percussion, it's always, I think, up against my hand. And my fingers are closing just so I can keep it, I don't know, in position. I don't do anything over here with my fingers, except, like I said, move them out of the way in case I hit them or to avoid hitting them. What's doing the work is right there. So this part of my hand gets sore sometimes if I'm doing a lot of that. Especially with the slow movement of the bopper, a lot of the energy gets transferred to my hand and it's not using the mass of the workpiece against itself. The addition of my hand weight is helping the flakes detach. With indirect percussion, I can hit faster and use the mass of the workpiece against itself. I've explained that in other videos. I can try to explain it again. What happens when you hit a, let's say you have a punching bag strung up and you get a broomstick and you slowly hit the punching bag, slowly. It moves the punching bag and the stick doesn't break. It just moves the punching bag. However, if you wind up and hit the punching bag extremely fast, the stick will break and the bag doesn't move very much. Okay? Same thing with the workpiece. Hit it really fast, the flake comes off, but you don't feel much shock. It doesn't move the workpiece because you're using the weight of the workpiece against itself. You know what I'm saying? With slow bopping, you're moving the workpiece more than when you're doing a fast strike with indirect percussion. So I'm feeling it more in my hand. But if I'm able to make these quicker, it might offset that side effect. So even though I get sore right there, it may not be that bad if it's not going to be a long-term thing happening during the napping. I won't get that sore. That sort of thing. Anyway, I think I'm reaching the limit of my ability with this bopper. I'm also judging the distance. I have my elbows, both elbows resting on my lap. So I'm getting the distance I need and then striking off flakes. Yeah. I'm going to stop messing with the tip. I'll do the tip with indirect. I'll clean up those little goof ups with indirect percussion. What causes that? Too much inward force. Yep. Yeah, I'm reaching the limit of my ability to safely thin this down. Okay, so the width to thickness ratio is like, let's say it's 80. That might be easy. 80 by 20, 4 to 1. A little bit less than 4 to 1 on the thick spots. Yeah, I feel more. I would feel better if I use the indirect percussion to go further. So, that's what I'm going to do. And again, if you're just tuning in, If you know of anybody else who measures the width to thickness ratio as they're knapping, let me know. I want to watch that. And one reason I want to watch it is to see if any of these wise guys are doing it on their videos that are recommending certain techniques for me to do. Let's see if they're actually measuring their width to thickness ratios with the techniques they're suggesting. Right? I know they're getting them thin. I just want to see how thin. Okay. And if they're getting them really, really thin, I want to compare that thinness to the actual artifacts they're trying to replicate. If they're going thinner than the artifacts, it tells me they're not really concerned about how they used to make them. They're not really concerned about it. Again, if they're going thinner than the actual artifacts they're trying to replicate, they're not trying to replicate the artifacts. They're just working on thinning techniques. Now, do I work on thinning techniques? Yeah. But I don't claim to be replicating artifacts. Yeah, I put certain names of artifact types in the video titles. But it's just within a certain... I try to get within a certain range. I'm not trying to replicate. And I don't know if they used indirect percussion in the past. And I'm not saying that they did. I'm not saying this is how they used to make them. When I'm, when I got a point type in the title. I have point types in the title because people ask me to make a certain type. So I do. But keep in mind, I'm not replicating. I'm not trying to replicate the point. Some of the flake scars may be very similar to the actual point style. Yeah. But I'm not trying to replicate. I don't want to give any of these counterfeiters any ideas. Yeah. See, I don't feel much shock with this. It doesn't hurt my knuckles or my hands, or it doesn't shock the workpiece when I'm hitting very fast with indirect percussion. It's different with the bopper. The bopper's slow by comparison. Now I know some guys will suggest, oh, you can do this to increase speed and yada yada. Yep. Tell me everything. Tell me what you do to increase the speed on the bopper. I want to know. And in case you're new, the Abrader's not just for dulling, it's also for a little bit of chipping. I use it for a little bit of chipping. I kind of use it like a hammerstone to chip away some of the edge. so I can get in position for another strike. I can probably hit that with a billet. Is the billet faster than the bopper? Yeah, I can wind up a little bit better with the billet. It's I can wind up a little bit better with this than with this. This one I had to kind of stop the swing a little bit. It affects my wrist, so I instinctively back off from the speed because I got to stop it. This one I can follow through and it doesn't twist my wrist as much. It's the center of gravity here doesn't create that lever action as much as the center of gravity on the bopper is way out here. It pulls more. You know what I mean? I can really swing fast, although that one, I don't know, scooped it. Anyway. Come on. There we go. Switching from bopper to billet is a little bit of a learning curve. It makes me forget how to use the billet. Yep. That's my excuse. Looks like it's coming out all right for the project I need. For what I need for my project, I mean. Yep. Oh gosh, that's... Guess there's a learning curve here too. See what the bopper made me do? Made me forget how to flint knap the other ways. Goodness. Should get out the steel. Yeah, I think I'm losing energy with the aluminum. This is not easy stone. Might look easy. Roger. Looks easy. It's not easy. I was doing better with the billet. Let's try the bopper. See, the drawback of trying these different tools back to back is the learning curve. there's not absolute muscle memory. The muscle memory changes a little bit here and there with the different tools. Like I was starting to get used to that bopper. So the muscle memory says, okay, we got a little bit different thing going on here. And then I switch tools and I gotta relearn. Okay, you're not using the bopper anymore. So what you're getting is a comparison between these different methods, but they're not good comparisons because you lose a little bit of the feel for each one. So you're getting a little bit of a lesser quality napping experience from a spectator point of view. If you're an expert spectator, you'll notice that the napping quality is going down. Or it's not as good as it would seem to be, or it should be. It's not as good as it seems like it should be. And there's a reason for that. It's because it isn't. It's not as good as it should be. But you know, someone will ask me to do a demonstration side by side, and I'll go, okay. I don't say, well, you know, there's a little bit of a loss of the learning curve between each tool, so what you're going to watch is not going to be all that great. I don't say that. I just say, okay, yeah, all right. I'll do it. And then you'll be thinking, I'm so disappointed. I'm disappointed. It didn't look good. I don't know if it's a good comparison. You didn't do it right. It's not doing it right. Same old, not doing it right. Yep. Not until I get the hang of it. And then sometimes it's just luck. It looks like I'm starting to do it right. Sometimes it's just luck. I can't get these to go very far. I don't want to break out the steel because then it's another learning curve. Just want to do a few more of these thinning flakes. Should be able to do it. No, it's eating my aluminum for lunch. It's already dimpled all done. Yeah, it's totally dimpled. Okay. Why is it bad to be dimpled? It doesn't make solid contact. I lose energy. It's even worse when I use antler. Yeah, I know. Why do some guys get good results with the antler? With the dimples? I don't know. They start out maybe with a big bopper that's already pre-sanded before they start. And then they look around and make sure they're hitting with smooth areas every time. If it's a big faced bopper, there's a lot of area to work with. There we go. I think that was the whole problem. Yes, just losing too much energy in the strikes because it's too dimpled. I gotta clean up the aluminum more often because it's tough stone. It really eats my aluminum rod for lunch, dinner, and breakfast. say bopper or rod? Indirect percussion rod. It's eating it for lunch. But it is good stone, Roger. Yeah, looks consistent all the way through with no big patches of concrete. And this is a good candidate for heat treat. These, I'm going to heat treat these. I'm going to make little herald points. Oh yes, herald and Washita. Nice. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, that should have been doing it right there, but it didn't do it earlier. And I think I was using a smooth enough rod, but apparently not. Yeah, apparently not. What am I going to do? I think the only way I can get through there is from this area. Yeah. I got some wonkiness. Yeah, I should just go with the flow and leave the wonkiness in there for the final point that I'm going to make. I'm going to make a corner tang. I should just leave it all wonky. Because I've seen them wonky. Oh yes. Turn to a clean spot. It tried to do it. See that? It tried to do it. It's trying its best. Okay. Why do I say it is and not me? I'm trying my best. It does depend somewhat on the material you're using. Yeah. It's trying not to get its lunch eaten, so to speak. It's fighting this stone and not winning. I've got some copper that I can probably use, copper rods I can probably start using. There's been a lot of sponsors of the channel recently offering to supply me with stuff. Yeah, life is good. It'll make it easier to switch over to all copper like I've been saying I'm going to eventually. But before I switch to all copper, I still haven't napped a bunch with brass yet. I got brass rods. See? I got brass rod for this, but this is so darn heavy. I've already tried. I'm going to need another type of mallet. This little wimpy plastic mallet, it don't do anything to the brass. It doesn't move it. So either I got to chop it off and put a light handle on it, or get something else, some other material that'll really move this rod quickly. I'll probably end up chopping it in half, inserting it into some kind of wooden dowel, thick wooden dowel, or large diameter, or maybe even plastic. Yeah, start using that, see how that goes. I know how it's going to go. I'm eventually going to get used to it, even though I don't like it. Brass, I've never liked brass. And I've said it doesn't work that great. But let's see if I can prove myself wrong on that one. Start using brass for everything. Billet. Guess what? I got a brass billet. See? It's even been used for knapping by someone else. But I can cut this in half. It's so darn heavy though. It's just so darn heavy. Yeah. So we'll see. Probably only use it for big items. Spalling. It's eating it for lunch. I think I should stop right there. I think I should. Yeah, I should. It's continuing to eat that for lunch. And I don't, to do this on video any thinner, I'm going to ask for trouble. Yeah, I'll need to clean up and regularize the edges. I'm already very close to the shape I need for the corner tang anyway. So I'll stop. Besides, Henry won't watch this if it's more than 30 minutes. I'm already pushing it. Yeah. Already pushing the limits on that. Time limit. 30 minutes, that's it. You've already seen me work on these anyway. You know, from this stage onward. So I'll just cut it right here. Alright, and I'll go on to the next video. Alright, that's it.